The world of medicine is infinitely complex and continuously advancing, with new discoveries about human genes and DNA, chemists finding new ways to synthesize life-saving medication, and treatments to help those recover from illness and disease. But the medical world doesn't just have its developments in biology and chemistry, there's also some physics making its way in there as well. One of the first uses of sound waves in the medical field was in 1942 when urologist Carl Dessick used ultrasonic sound waves to try and detect tumors in the human brain. Since then, technology has exponentially improved, and we have seen advancements in sound wave technology with ultrasounds, MRI scans, X-rays, and more. Another way that sound waves, specifically low-frequency waves, have recently been used in medicine is to deliver medications to patients. Delivering drugs to the human body can already be a challenge sometimes due to the selective permeability of cell membranes, which keeps larger, unwanted molecules out. But by transmitting low-frequency waves by penetration deep into the body tissue, drugs can be delivered to the cells through a process called acoustic cavitation. Sound waves are longitudinal waves, meaning that in order to make the sounds that we can hear or can't hear, depending on the frequency, the molecules in the air move in a way that makes compressions and rarefactions, or areas of high and low pressure respectively. If we convert the compressions and rarefactions of these waves into a snapshot graph representing pressure, we can see that the compressions correspond to the crests and the rarefactions correspond to the troughs. In acoustic cavitation, these waves are transmitted through the body and air bubbles are created by the sound waves. With each rarefaction of the wave, the bubble starts to expand. It continues to expand until it reaches a maximum point and then it explodes. When a group of bubbles in close proximity undergo a simultaneous explosion, it creates an area of extremely high pressure and temperature, and this sudden change in the environment causes cells to be manipulated in order to allow the uptake of the medicine by the cells. One example of this procedure is that of cell membrane pore formation, where the high pressure from acoustic cavitation causes lipid molecules to be pulled from the cell membrane, creating pores and allowing the larger drug molecules to pass through. However, while acoustic cavitation is an efficient way of delivering medicine to cells, this procedure can result in permanent cell damage and even cell death due to the effects of the bubble explosions. Acoustic cavitation utilizes low-frequency sound waves, but what happens when high-frequency waves are used instead? This is the question that researchers at the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology are exploring. In their research, they instead use high-frequency sound waves transmitted through the surface of the body instead of injection, and discovered that the cells behaved in a different manner. With high-frequency sound waves, it was observed that certain molecules within the body actually moved with the wave. One example is that hydrophilic molecules, which are molecules that are attracted to water, position themselves at the nodes of the waves, while hydrophobic molecules, which are molecules that repel water, position themselves at the antinodes of the waves. Why does this occur? Well, an explanation is actually still in the works. According to lead researcher Leslie Yeo, this behavior from the molecules has never been seen before, and he quotes, "It's like driving a truck through a random scattering of Lego bricks, then finding those pieces stacked nicely on top of each other. It shouldn't happen." One possible explanation for this comes from another study of the use of surface acoustic waves with fluids. In this study, high-frequency sound waves were transmitted to a drop of fluid on a flat plate with hydrophobic and hydrophilic molecules present in the fluids, and once again, when the high-frequency waves reached the fluid, the molecules rearranged themselves in the same manner along the nodes and the antinodes of the wave. One explanation for the molecule's behavior in this study comes from researcher Gregory Falkovich and is simply forces. It is believed that the net force of gravity and capillary forces, which is the force that causes fluid to flow through narrow spaces, pulls the molecules to their respective positions on the wave. But how does this affect drug delivery? Well, these hydrophobic and hydrophilic molecules are part of what make up human cells. When the particles align this way, it disrupts the structure of the cell membranes and increases the membrane's permeability, which allows for a better uptake of drug molecules that normally would not have been able to pass through the membrane. And even more surprising to the researchers, when the sound wave was turned off, the molecules returned to their original positions. Whereas with acoustic cavitation there was a high risk of permanent cell damage, the surface acoustic wave procedure is completely temporary and molecules are able to be manipulated without causing harm. This new method of drug delivery opens up a whole new world of possibilities for medical advancement. For example, one study focused on using this technology to help administer chemotherapy drugs to patients with leukemia, and found that the high-frequency surface acoustic waves provided a more efficient way to safely and non-invasively administer chemotherapy. This use of sound waves in medicine is particularly interesting to me because of the ways it could apply to our world's current medical situation. Recovering from the COVID-19 pandemic includes a large majority of people getting vaccinated against the virus through injection. But what if we could deliver the vaccine through sound waves instead? We've already come so far with sound wave technology, just imagine what we will be able to do with more research, advancements, and time.